Here's today's In Touch devotion. Today's scripture reading begins in verse 22 of Luke chapter 8. Now on one of those days Jesus and his disciples got into a boat, and he said to them, "Let's cross over to the other side of the lake." So they launched out, but as they were sailing along, he fell asleep. And then a fierce wind descended upon the lake, and they began to be swamped and endangered. They came up to Jesus and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're perishing." And he got up and rebuked the wind and the surging waves, and they stopped. And it became calm, and he said to them, "Where is your faith?" But they were fearful and amazed, saying to one another, "Who then is this, that he commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him?" Have you ever fallen asleep on a long trip? Jesus did. And in today's scripture passage, Luke tells us about the time that Jesus and the disciples got on the boat to reach the other side of the lake, and Jesus fell asleep. The next things the disciples knew, they were engulfed in a storm, and the one person powerful enough to protect them was blissfully unaware. The disciples panicked, and they woke him. In John chapter 14, verse 27, he reads that Jesus has promised to give those who are believers his peace. This is the very same peace that enabled him to sleep through the storm. Now, without his tranquility, we'd be helpless and afraid, like the disciples. With it, we can experience inner calm in the midst of hardships. Believing in God's sovereignty is the key to a peaceful heart. In their panic, the disciples believed that a sleeping Jesus wasn't in control of other circumstances. But we must remember he is always in control, even in times of difficulty. When we rest in the knowledge that God's in charge, we can exchange anxiety for peace. Jesus doesn't want us to be weighed down by fear. He wants to share his peace with us. Are you trusting in his control?